today is adopting or adapting applied technology in teaching and learning in Africa. That is to say, how can all learners go to school virtually during pandemics or epidemics? We know what we are going through now all over the world. So we have to have specific way, or you must learn, you must adopt or adapt. We have two words here. There is a difference between to adapt and to adapt. When you say to adopt, adopt is to use, to make good use of the existing knowledge or method. So and then we have adapting. Adapting is modifying and using a specific method or technology in academia or even in research. So adapting and adopting, there's a difference here. We can see the disparity here. To adopt is to use the existing knowledge or technology, and to adapt, that is A-D-A-P-T. To adapt is to modify. You have to change certain things, and then you use them accordingly. So this evening, our presentation is about how can you adopt or adapt technology in teaching and learning. And in short, how can all African countries or all children in Africa go to school virtually in the wake of coronavirus pandemic? That is our focus for discussion. We know what we have been going through now. Okay, even difficulties when it comes to even internet connectivity, accessibility of internet, and what have you. What you have been going through. So, how do you make judicial use of the existing knowledge? And your presenter this evening is Michael Owusu Tabiri. So we have this as our outline. We will have our introduction, objective, purpose of the presentation of this study, and then the existing knowledge. Just as I said, we have something that is in existence already. How can we adopt or adapt the existing technology in teaching and learning, so that in the wake of coronavirus pandemic, children or students all over the world, particularly in Africa, can go to school without any difficulty? And then we have the promulgation or passage of distance education bill. It's so crucial that African countries have to see the passage or the promulgation of distance education bill. So that's what we want to propose here. And then the composition of the proposed bill. Composition of this proposed bill is about adopting or adapting applied technology. For instance, we already have television sets all over the world, particularly in Africa. Even at the remote places, villages, we do have TV sets or radio stations. So how can you even decide that let's now use, can you just concentrate on using TV or radio station in teaching and learning without necessarily bothering ourselves with internet connectivity? That's the question. Is it possible that there should be a passage, a promulgation of a bill that will allow us not to just look for any accessibility, any internet access or whatever connectivity, but once you have television sets, we have FM stations, you can use them in teaching and learning. Then it's about the modification. We modify and use to suit our need in teaching and learning. That is what we refer to as adopting or adapting the existing technology in teaching and learning. So then we will also have recommendations, and then we draw conclusions accordingly. Good. So, production, considering the havoc, we all know the havoc and the threatening repercussions of coronavirus pandemic. It may not be advisable, it will never be advisable for the African leaders, particularly in Ghana, for the President of the Republic to lift the ban on public gatherings and ask both public and private schools to go back to face-to-face school. That's what we are saying here. We look at the results now. The state of Ghana, a lot of people have been infected with coronavirus. So will it be advisable to ask students right from pre-tertiary level to tertiary level to go back to face-to-face school? So if it's not possible, it's not advisable to ask our students, our learners, our children. Even can you imagine the KG children, primary school children putting on masks? Is it possible in the classroom? If it's not possible, then it will not be advisable to lift the ban on public gatherings, particularly asking students, school children to go back to face-to-face school. So what can our leaders now do? If it's not possible, then what can our leaders do during this educational shift? Now there is educational shift. We used to have face-to-face. Now there is a shift, educational shift from school to home. Now wherever you are, right now you may be in your house or office. Right now I am in my house. I'm talking to you from home, not in my office, even at my compound. That's why I'm presenting this. So how can our leaders, what can they do now during this educational shift from school to home? How can our leaders through the educational sectors, ministries in Africa address the needs of learners or students in remote locations with little or no access to internet connectivity? You cannot refute the fact that even those of us in Accra, urban centers, we do have challenges or difficulties when it comes to internet connectivity or accessibility. So if those of us who are even in towns or cities are facing difficulties, challenges when it comes to internet accessibility or connectivity, how much more our brothers and sisters in the villages? How would they have access to online teaching and learning? So if it's not possible, then we need to adapt the existing technology in teaching and learning, whereby it will enable everybody, every child, all school age children, all children who go to school to have access to teaching and learning in the wake of coronavirus pandemic. So the objective of the study of this presentation is to propose to stakeholders, to our ministers, to our presidents in Africa, our leaders in Africa, those in the helm of affairs in Africa, those in authority. They need to adopt or adapt a pragmatic technology. Pragmatic is about what works, what is practical, what is feasible, what is real, what can be true, what is so practical. That is to adapt a pragmatic technology in teaching and learning during this pandemic. For example, the state of coronavirus pandemic, COVID-19. And CSM, even when you go to the northern part of the country, now you might have heard of CSM in the northern part of the country. Well, what can we do now? What can our leaders do now? It's very, very crucial for our leaders, for our stakeholders in Africa, and particularly in Ghana, to adopt a pragmatic approach or technology in teaching and learning in the wake of coronavirus pandemic. So countries that are not willing to let their students or learners go back to face-to-face school can adopt this proposal. That is adapting or adapting applied technology. Applied technology in teaching and learning. It's not about just knowing technology. It's not just about being technologically inclined, but how do you apply the technology that you have studied, that you have learned in school? How can you apply that? Even in France, currently, somewhere last week I saw it in France, when they decided to lift the ban, okay, on public gatherings, asking children to go back to school. Now, there was an increase, okay, in coronavirus cases all over in France. So even if a developed country is facing the challenge, the repercussion on lifting the ban on public gatherings, particularly asking our school children, our students to go back to school, they are facing the repercussion of lifting this ban. Will it be advisable for a developing country like Ghana, or even developing countries in Africa, to lift the ban on public gatherings? To be precise, asking our children to go back to school, face-to-face school. It may not be advisable. It is for this reason that we have found it necessary to have this presentation or this discussion, so that we will see the way forward. Good. Now we have existing knowledge. Existing, what is already in the existence. There is nothing new under the sun, as the Holy Bible or the Holy Scriptures say. There is nothing new under the sun. So we have to do just a brief review of literature here. So following the closure of schools almost everywhere, UNESCO recommended the use of distance learning programs and open educational applications, okay? And a lot of platforms, existing platforms, helpful platforms that schools and teachers can use to reach learners, okay, remotely, by so doing to limit the disruption of education. Okay, so now we have even in Ghana. Let's come back to Ghana. Let's be in once we are in Ghana here. The government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Education, that is the Ghana Education Service, has introduced distance learning for basic schools. Okay, on Ghana Learning TV, on Ghana Learning, there is a TV station by name, I think, Ghana Learning TV, to promote continuous or continual learning. So we consider that to be very, very commendable. So if you have this, what is the way forward now? What can we do now to intensify distance learning? What can we do to ensure intensification of online or distance learning instead of lifting the ban on public gatherings or asking children or school children to go back to face-to-face school? What can we do now? Good. So we have this, that we need the promulgation or passage of distance or online learning bill here. Passing online or distance education bill is crucial in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. This bill can consist of this. What is this bill about? This is just the summary of it. Once adopted or adapted by our stakeholders, our leaders, then they will see some of the things that they can add. Then they will see the other composition or other aspect that can be enshrined in the bill or can be counted in the bill. But for now, we believe that this bill, it will be highly crucial, highly advisable, okay, that the bill must consist of making teaching and learning obligatory, compulsory, on all TV and FM or radio stations, okay? And we have to have specific time range here, from 7 a.m. to 12 noon, every day in Africa. So what we are saying, what we are proposing is that we have a lot of TV stations in Ghana. We have a lot of TV stations everywhere in African countries. So instead of always complaining, talking about the difficulties, internet accessibility, connectivity, poor power outage, and what have you, can we now decide that we have TV stations? We have GTV, we have TV3, we have a lot of them. You may know them. We have a lot of FM stations everywhere, even in Ghana here. Can we now adapt or adopt them? That is the meaning. And just as I said in my introduction, to adopt is to use the existing knowledge to make a judicial use of what is already in existence. And then to adapt is to modify the existing technology or tools and to use them accordingly. That is what you mean here. Good. So that is what you mean. Once we can do that in Africa, we believe that this would definitely help to ensure that academic calendar will continue without any disruption in education. We believe strongly because even if you go to every village in Ghana, we will have television there. There will not be any problem in the remotest village. You will have